Welcome to part 8 of the Hawker Typhoon build from Ted at eModels. It's been a bit of a delay to get some paint on this, but at the end of this video we'll have something that'll look like this. Let's have a look and see how it's done. Well, those that have been waiting since the last video to see some paint get put on this aircraft, there has been a sort of a slight hiatus, a bit of a delay, because I got the paint on. I did the first coat of the underside. Well, actually I put the base coat down on the underside, as you can see here. I did that, and then I was getting ready to prepare and do some of the camouflage on the upper surfaces. I'd got it all masked off with some Tamiya tape. It's just a basic painting on the underside. I did it with the airbrush, and that's where the problems began, because as I was preparing for the next round of painting, getting the first colours on for the camouflage colour, my old trusty airbrush decided to pack up. You can see here, I don't know if you can actually see in there somewhere when it focuses. No, it's not going to come into focus. Anyway, what's missing there is the nozzle. It snapped off and disappeared somewhere into the carpet. The carpet monster's got that and never to be seen again. Never mind, that was a bit of a delay while I had to obtain a new airbrush. This model, yes, it can be done with brush paints, but I'd wanted to put it on with airbrush. So the old Chinese cheapo from eBay has finally bit the dust, and I've had to go and buy a nice new shiny airbrush. Good job, at the time of filming it's coming up to Christmas, so it's an early Christmas present. Anyway, what we're going to do with this, as I say, we've put the base coat on, which was, I forget the number now, without having to look it up. The base coat's gone on, and then we've masked off the areas with the Tamiya tape. What we're going to do then is, really, if you follow the diagram from excuse me, if you follow the diagram from the picture, the colour scheme itself in the book, you can actually find a nice shape to the camouflage colours. I used to find that when I tried to do it freehand, it never really looked right. So what I've gone on and done, I've just taken a soft pencil, and on the top here I've just traced, because we're going to do this freehand, I've just traced a line of where the demarcation lines go between the two colours. Just lightly pencil them in. Now what we'd normally do, I would usually, on a smaller model, I would usually base coat the whole thing in the one main colour, which would be the lighter of the two colours, and then go over it, just picking out the second darker colour. However, what we're going to do with this, because we've pre-shaded the panel lines, if you put one colour down and then another on top of that, you're really going to wipe out your panel lines. So we'll do it one step at a time. We'll put the base, the one colour, the lighter colour on first, in here, pointy stick time. We'll put the lighter colours in, and then we'll put the darker colours in over the top of that, and that way we should hopefully still have some of the pre-shading to be showing through the paint. Right, what I'll do now then, I shall go and get everything ready for spraying, and then we'll be back with you in a moment for the first coat of paint. See you in a moment then. Okay, well that's everything set up now. I've got my airbrush ready, I've got the spray booth ready. It's a new spray booth from eModels. If you have a look on the website or Facebook page, you'll find a link to a review that I did when this spray booth arrived. What we're going to do now is take some paint and have a go at spraying the demarcation lines between the two colours on the aircraft. We're going to do this freehand, as I explained before, and what we're going to do first is just pick out the lines between the two colours. So let's have a go and see what happens. Right, I'll get the spray booth started, so hopefully you can still hear me as behind the noise of the fan. It's not really noisy at all. We just try the paint, see it's coming out. Right, here we go. So we're just going to do a thin line freehand between the two colours using the what colour was this one we're using? The matte ocean grey, is that right? 106? I think it's right, just checking the number here. Yeah, 106. So this is the matte ocean grey that's going on first. Now I just need to pick up the line. Hopefully you can see this and my head's not getting in the way too much. Just a matter of getting used to a new airbrush. I have had a few practices with it, but it never goes on just the way you want it, just after the practice. Now I'm using Humbrol paints, just thin down 50-50 with the thinners. Just try around the other side. Probably a little bit difficult to see because of the colour of the aircraft itself, the primer coat. The colour grey that's going on now could just be a little bit difficult to see. As I say, what we're doing it this way is because we need to still keep the post shading done. If we put it all on in one colour and then go over it again, we'll lose some of the pre-shading effects. So there, I think we're getting the hang of this, getting the hang of the airbrush. Hopefully you can hear me above the sound of the spray booth. Don't worry if you get it all wrong, you can also do post shading on it, and as the weathering comes along, you can add everything to it then. It's a bit of a mistake like that one, but never mind, we'll cover that up. Just as I said before you plan to do this, is mark out where you want the lines to go. And then just follow the pencil lines with your airbrush and pick it up. Okay, let's have a look round. Just trying to see everywhere that we've been. think that actually it's just a little bit difficult to get it in. We can get it in the air boot, in the spray boot. This is the bigger of the two that were available, and it does accept the size of the Typhoon quite well. Certainly a vast improvement on my last spray booth. So that's what we need to do. That's the first lines have gone on. I'm going to let that go off and just reassess it. Let the paint dry, and then we'll come in and fill in between the lines. Okay, I'm almost out of paint as well in the paint cup. So I'll go and let this dry. I'll come back and see what it looks like in a moment. Well, after I'd looked back at that last section, I realised that with applying the matte ocean grey, I realised that you couldn't really see a lot because we were putting it onto a grey primer. So I thought what I would do, I would carry on and lay down that section of paint, and then we'd come back and we'd have a look at putting the matte dark green on number 30, the Humbrol number 30, and follow the process again. So I've loaded up the airbrush, ready to go. Once again I've gone over the areas that I wanted to put the grey, and then lined it again with a pencil just to follow the lines, and then we're ready to go again. So let's get the extractor booth on again, and let's have a try at this. Just get the paint coming through. And this time it should really start and come to life a bit more now. Just get the outline in. Hopefully my head's not getting in the way and you can see what's going on. I'm trying to follow the pattern of the camouflage scheme from the scheme recommended by the instructions. And also finding a nice line between the grey and the green. So once we get this in, we can then start and fill it in. Now what you could do, instead of filling it in all at once, is pick out the rivet detail. See what we're doing here. Pick out the rivet detail first, almost like a second pre-shading. We picked out the panel lines first with the black. Now if you pick out the areas just try not to give it too much paint. Pick out the areas of the rivet, and then we can go back and we can fill it in a little bit at a time. A little bit of overspray just to blend in the two colours. Just pulling back a little bit so we get a bigger coverage with the airbrush. Now what I have done here as well, I've made my own sort of French curves, which is just some paper cut with various sort of squiggles and such, just so that you can define the line between the two colours. See how it does that? If you cut enough pieces of paper with all sorts of different shapes in, you can then try more or less fit any shape that you want just by moving around, rather than sticking the shape down. Just spray across them with your airbrush. If it needs a little bit more, just move it back a little bit, then fill that in. I'm quite conscious of not trying to do too much, because we can come back later and give it a second coat when it's dry. Now see here what we need to do there. We've had a little touch of overspray, but we can fill that in using the French curve, just fitting it round to a nice shape, because the camouflage was different on every aircraft. It was all done probably a hand, just by eye. And we could put a little bump in there. Find the right piece of paper. If we've got one there, just put a little bump in there. See how it softens the edge up just a little bit, just by, rather than having it stuck down, it just softens the edge. A little bit more in that. Now, all coming together. See how the aircraft is now, even with just a short, small bit of paint, as the green goes on, we're now starting to see a different look to the aircraft. Put our French curve on there. Spraying from the back of the spraying from the back of the template, just so it doesn't blow underneath and it gives a better cover. Okay, let's have a look at this one up here now. As a shape to sort of fit there. Let's turn it round. Filling in. And you can see as the paint's starting to dry, it will show through the bits where you've missed. Extending the colour from the wing along the cannon. I'm using a 0.2 needle in this brush, which allows me to get nice and close and some fine lines put in, and then just by drawing back we can fill a bigger area with it. Underneath, where we've masked off, we can give that cannon another coat of paint. Just trying to get the best shots for you so you can see what's going on. It's quite a large aircraft and we're needing to move it around quite a little bit so you can see as it's happening. Well, we can see there. A little bit more needs to go in here a little bit. I think we could give it a little bit more shape just in there. And find the right bit of shape just to go in there. Right, next bit what we're going to do is going to look at into the wing root here, so we can try just having a look, see how much paint's left in the pot. There's enough in the paint cup just now. We could try, once we get the right position for it, finish just a touch in where we need this to go. And this follows a natural sort of flow and flows up across the main body of the aircraft from the wing root up across the fuselage again and filling that in. Some really good control on this airbrush, putting the paint just where we need it. Certainly a vast improvement on my previous Chinese cheapo eBay airbrush. Once again, use our masks just to get the right shape. Like that. And this continues, it flows across the top of the model and down the other side. Just trying to make the paint, the camera see what we're doing, so as you can see as the paint's going on. I'll turn it round, get a different angle on it. And once again we're looking to here, just doing that little bit there, and a nice flowing curve, so try to keep my head out. As that goes in there like that, picking up the front. And it seems that we've run out of paint in the paint cup, so we'll let that bit go off and then we'll come back and I'll finish off the rest of the aircraft, putting the rest of the masks on, and using these masks and then continuing with the rest of the camouflage green, but that's really how that bit goes on. So I'll carry on with this, get this bit done, and then I'll come back to you when we've got it sorted and look at the next stage. Alright, thanks for that, see you in a minute. There, that's the green camouflage colour coat now, the Humbrol 30. I've put that on. I've also taken off now some of the masking from underneath, and I've put on, as well as you see here, I've put on the flaps, because what we're going to do in the next stage is put the invasion stripes on, and rather than mask off and paint the invasion stripes separately and try to match them up with the lines that are on the aircraft, I thought it might be easier if we did them all at once, so I just put them in place. You'll also see that I've actually masked off the fuselage for the invasion stripes to go on there, including some masks just to go across the parts where the recognition letters will go, the codes will go. They've been masked off as well on both sides, and I'll also proceed to mask off the rest of it using some cling film so we don't get over any overspray. Just a word on the camouflage before we finish and move on from that. What I did to finish it off, once I'd sprayed it all and used the masks to make the hard lines for the definition, what we did then was actually just to lift the mask from the area ever so slightly, and then spraying from very lightly from the back and round to just over the top, is just to give it a spray, and that softens the lines around the join and makes it look a little bit more realistic, as though it's actually been sprayed by ground crew to make it look right. Right, now then, the instructions from Airfix tell us that we need to put some 19mm stripes on for the invasion, black and white alternate. Now then, I can't find any 19mm tape. The nearest we could find is a 10mm Tamiya tape. And we could probably use that. These were all done in a hurry on the airfield with guys usually using sort of a chalk bind and a yard brush to apply the paint. So you don't really need to be too desperate whether or not you wanted to stick to the 19mm or you wanted to use the 10mm tape. Now obviously, if you use 10mm tape, that's 1, 2, 3, 4, that's a few millimetres difference, so it's going to give you a little bit more space required to the ends. It's going to actually make the broad black and white stripes wider, so you need to take that into account when you're applying and painting. Another thing I did find as well, that when you're when I tried it before, when you're applying the find the end of this, applying the tape, you need to really make it go on and judge it by eye, because of the shape of the aircraft wing. It actually tapers down and over the top. Because of the shape of it, you need to get it on and judge it by eye as to what you're going to do. Now you can measure it if you want, find a starting point and then measure it from there. What we will do first is blank off the black sections, and then we'll come back and reverse the stripes and blank off the white to put the black on. Now those of you that are thinking, well, why not just paint it all white first and just blank the black stripes off? Well, once again, it comes down to the pre-shading, because if you wipe out the whole of that with a white block and then go across the top in a black, some of the pre-shading and the camouflage scheme won't be seen through the top coat. If you look on the instructions given by Airfix, you can actually see that the camouflage scheme actually does shine through a little bit, even on the black. So just give it, we're just going to give it a fine coat just before, and stop just before the camouflage gets covered. Right, so as I've done already, I've masked off the rear section. I'm going to go off now and then mask off both sides of the wings and the undersides, and then we'll come back for the final part and we'll get some paint on this for the invasion stripes. Okay, right, I'm going to get this done. I'll see you shortly then. There we are, that's the masking done with some cling film and the Tamiya tape. I hope you can hear me over my compressor, which keeps kicking in. I think it's actually got a leak on it. Nothing's ever simple in this game. However, we'll persevere and we'll go on. What we're going to do now, the bits that you can see exposed are the ones that are going to turn out white in the invasion stripe scheme. So we've got some white paint here ready to go, and we're only going to put a thin coat on. Remember how we said we'd try and keep it so it's a little bit opaque. It's just so that the camouflage scheme does show through, but still giving it that white invasion stripe look. I'm just wondering here whether I've actually left myself enough paint in the paint cup just to get as much done as we can. Just give it a quick coat first, a quick dust. I'm just thinking at the moment I haven't turned my spray booth on. Never mind, just do this a second. Around the front, give it a spray from another direction. We'll just try a bit of fuselage. We've still got some left in the cup before we turn it over, and as you can see, I did mention before that I've masked off where the cords were going to go, so we can spray all of that, give it its first coat on, let that go off a little bit, then come back for the second coat, and then repeat as necessary. Well, that's all the spraying over now. I thought I'd bring you back just before we finish to have the big unveiling, and we'll see what happened. Now it's either all going to go drastically wrong or it'll turn out well. What we've done, we've put the white stripes on, then we've masked them off, and we've gone across in the black. So let's take a couple of these off and see how it looks. As you know, we did put the masking fluid on right at the very start, and as we're taking the tape off, some of that's coming off to reveal some of the weathering as it comes off. It's a bit sticky. So far so good. It has taken a little bit of time just to get the masking done, and then the spraying takes no time at all after that. Underneath as well. Just trying to be careful that I don't take any of the paint off unnecessarily if it hasn't gone dry or anything, but I think we're giving it enough time. Just a slight bleed under there. Nothing that can't be fixed or hidden with a bit of weathering. And there. So it's coming off. It's going to take a little bit to get all this off. And there we are. Just a few more bits of masking to take off, but that's generally all the masking stripes, all the masking for the stripes taken off, and it looks fairly good. I think I've one or two little spots just to touch up on. Maybe I have to get the spray brush out again for a little bit of bleed around here and here, and a little bit of masking slip just there, but nothing too drastic. I think the effect looks pretty good. Looks nice all round, and that's about it for this video now. A few technical issues just to get through, just to get us to this stage. My airbrush packing up, and as I said, now it looks like my compressor's packing up as well. But next time we'll move on, we'll get back to a little bit of building. These masks can all come out now, these parts can come out here, and we can get on and build into the undercarriage. The wing flaps, they can go back on, still a little bit of painting to do in there yet. And we'll be able to move on. Let's get back to doing some building rather than painting. Anyway, thank you very much for watching. It's Ted here from emodels.co.uk, and thanks for bearing with us, and look forward to seeing you next part. That'll be part 9, as the Hawker Typhoon really gets going now. But thanks for looking in, and we'll see you all again. Bye.